Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Nightly Restorative Check-In. I am Dr. Enjolie Laferry, and you are connecting with the National Parents Union. I am here in Arizona, in this beautiful autumn land in the Sonoran Desert. Today's date, sorry, I usually start with that, and I've just totally passed it. It is the 19th of March, at least I think so. No, it is. And I'm feeling actually a little like, I hope some of you maybe thought that the show is going to start an hour later, but I'm on right now, which is fine. So some of you are going to see this on a rebroadcast. So if y'all didn't get the message that the show is starting now, I will fix that for next week's show. So let me actually tell you something funny about Arizona. So Arizona does not change time. So for half the year, I'm on Pacific Standard Time, right, with California. And then for the other half the year, we're on Mountain Standard Time, like Colorado and things like that. So I think StreamYard didn't understand that. And it just made the show appear like it was going to start an hour later. Or I'm an hour early, which like kind of never happens. So if that's the case, that's like milagro, miracle. Okay. Anyway, just explaining. All right, let me see people's comments if anyone's making any. You are all welcome and free to make your comments, say hello as you see fit. All right, so the Nightly Restorative Check-In is the brainchild of Marisol Quevedo Rerucha. And actually, we need to congratulate her because her book came out today. It's debuting today. You can get it on Amazon and all the major retailers where you can order and purchase books. Her show. But her book is called Restorative Practices Beyond the Surface. And I actually have a chapter in the book as well. So we were on this morning. If you follow me, you'll be able to kind of see where I reposted our interviews. We're talking about the book. And you should also follow Marisol. Marisol hosts this show on Mondays and Wednesdays. And the show is her brainchild. And now you maybe have some more like information about why it's called the Nightly Restorative Check-In, because she is an expert in restorative practices. So, well, I don't know. When I think about her conception of this show, it's a time for us to check in. It's a time to kind of connect with our loved ones. I always think about what I want to be doing on a Friday night. On a Friday, I want yummy food, and I want to be like, with people that I'm close to and get to like really just chat and talk and chill and just not have a schedule, and just feel that sense of relaxation. So early on, about a year ago, right, when NPU started or when the shows and the broadcast started, she brought me on as a guest because I'm a psychologist and a hypnotherapist. And I introduced a breath technique that if you're a regular, you know it very well. It's called 4-7-8. So we start every show that way. You're inhaling for 4 seconds. You're holding your breath for 7 seconds, and then you're exhaling for 8 seconds. And then we do that 4 times around. I count it out for you. So if you get stuck at any place, just remember to come back to your normal breath and then join back up with me on the 4 count. This breath pattern is wonderful if you wake up in the middle of the night and you're having trouble sleeping. I use it as the way that we use it here, like to arrive. As I'm transitioning from one thing to the next, right? This is when I would use this breath pattern. So the other little thing I want to add is on the 8 count when you're exhaling, kind of the trick on that one is to, yes, you're welcome, Adrian. The trick on that one is to hold your breath, but while you're releasing it. So it's kind of like this suspended breath is the best way that I would talk about it, or the best way that I can describe it. So again, you get stuck, go back to your breath, join us on the 4 count. Okay. Whew. Yay. Usually you guys, I feel really like I have a lot of energy coming in, and right now I'm actually feeling more steady and even. All right, so go ahead and close your eyes if you're going to do that, or if not, I recommend that you pick a focal point. Go ahead and take your natural breath, breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth. And on the next inhalation, breathe in for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, release. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, inhale. 2, 3, 4, hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, release. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, inhale. 2, 3, 4, hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, release. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, inhale. 2, 3, 4, hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, release. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Go back to your natural breath. And because I'm feeling this way, you all should type in the chat kind of how you're feeling, after the breath. Like right now, I just felt my shoulders drop, and that felt really good. It's been a long week, in some ways a challenging week. And so I'm also just probably feeling like my stress melt away a little bit. All right. So I want to continue to introduce myself. Yes, somebody's saying they feel relieved. And hello, people I don't know. It's nice to meet you. I'm Jillian. Beyonce, my daughter, is saying that she felt it. Good, babe. Okay, you all can keep that coming in. I'm going to keep sharing. So I want to complete the part of introducing myself, right? So I've described who I am professionally. Who I am personally, and as far as my community goes, is particularly important for me to introduce. So I'm originally from Southern California. My father was Afro-Cuban, so we're Taino and Arawak on that side. My mom's from Guatemala. We are Maya. Some of you have met or seen my siblings because they were on some of the first few guests on my show. You all saw my daughter's comment slide along here. So I'm a mom to a 21-year-old. And I'm a member of the Siwa Patli Collective. You have met some of my comadres and elders. We focus on Indigenous mothering, and we support women and their families. We say from womb to tomb. All right, so I already made my announcement talking about Marisol. That's like the major one, right? So please go and get her book. I also want to encourage you to become a member of NPU. I was going to say the collective. We're not really recruiting, but become a member of the National Parents Union. And so I will pull the link here in a little bit, or if one of my colleagues has it handy and you want to put it in the chat, I appreciate that. The nice thing about becoming a member of NPU is you get information a little bit sooner. You get access, right, to maybe information around grants or our town halls, or access to toolkits, right? All of that, is you can find it on the website, but you're maybe just alerted a little bit sooner. Okay, I want to bring in our guest. I'm really excited to have Christy Moreno, Christy J. Moreno. And I want to say your whole name, Christy Joyce Moreno, because I see her name on social media as Joyce. So, but anyway, so Christy is a mom. I know that she's really proud of that title just because of learning who she is. She's also a delegate for the National Parents Union. She's in Kansas, so a Midwest delegate. You're in Kansas, you're in Missouri. She's also the bilingual director of advocacy for the Missouri Charter Public School Association. Daily, Christy fights for equity in education and parent voice inclusion, specifically for low English proficiency families and for ELL, immigrant, and refugee students and their families. So it's my pleasure to bring Christy on. I'm going to switch us. Hello. How are you?
I am delighted to be here tonight. I'm so honored to be holding this space with you and joining It's been a long week for me,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a lot of fun. We'll talk about it. But Friday, you were mentioning, what do I want to be doing on a Friday night when I can log off and not necessarily be checking my emails? Um, and I'm very happy I'm here tonight because this is where I want to be. And that's important to me. It's important to be sharing from the heart, sharing from the soul, but at the same time learning. And I know I'm here tonight to learn about you, from about our conversation, and probably going to be surprising myself too with things that are going to come out of my mouth.
We're going to make it feel good. It's not going to be painful or difficult. It's going to feel good. And I see, and there's lovely comments. So Jillian is definitely one of your people, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy she's here tonight.
Yes. Hello to everyone. You guys, it's like, I see the comments, but then I want to be like attentive to Christy. So I'm going to try to weave them in as much as I can. Thank you. Thank you though for your words, Christy. And actually for every guest that comes on the show, I want the guests to feel like relieved after the show. So usually that's actually what happens. So people will go off stage and they're like, I actually feel good. Whereas I think before, it's like one more thing on Friday, but that's what brings my heart joy, when you all feel checked in on, and then it's kind of like the audience just gets to watch us do that and go through that process. So let's have you introduce yourself more fully. I kind of read like the standard bio, right? But take your time. Like, who else are you? What else do you want the audience to know about you?
Well, like many of us, I have I feel like I'm an old soul, right? Mm-hmm. I have a story that is, I like to say, and I was sharing this with you backstage, that it's not that I live chapters of my life. It really feels like I've been different people, like I've lived different lives. I have been different identities in different places, with different dreams and aspirations. And at the same time, a lot of us, a lot of moments of crisis and strife, and from which I've learned a lot. And so my story is a little bit flipped to the majority of people that I share an identity with, sort of. I was actually born in the United States, but raised in Mexico. My father is Mexican from Ciudad Juarez, Chihuahua. And my mother is a missionary child of American parents, but was born and raised in South America. And when my mother was, and her name is Joyce, and I'm very honored to carry her name as well. That's why I make it a point to share my middle name as well. She came to Mexico when she was 14 and has lived in Mexico since. And so I was raised in Mexico City, Mexico. That is the place I will forever call home. Spanish is my mother tongue, my home language. But I was raised in a bilingual home because my mother wanted to ensure that, we as children, I have two brothers. I'm a middle child, the only female. She really wanted to ensure that we embraced both of our cultures, and both sides of our, family and history and who we are. And so raised in Mexico City, did come to the United States, to visit relatives and my grandparents over, the holidays, spent several summers. And that is very important to me, because it always taught me to do my best at adapting, to different places, different people, different challenges. And so I would say that throughout my life, I've had instances where I've had to adapt, constantly adapting. When I was graduating high school, I was actually going to study biology in the National University of Mexico. The university went on strike, and didn't know what to do, put my education on a halt. What am I going to do? And I come from a musical family and trained musician. My older brother, Sergio, was studying university here. And he said, hey, the jazz band at the university where I'm at is looking for a jazz pianist. And I was like, well, I don't want to go to the US. I'm happy here in Mexico. But of course, I wanted to further my education. So I came to the States for college, worked a lot, had 3 jobs, full-time, all the credits possible every semester. And when I graduated, I moved back to Mexico. And so my life has been like moving all the time. And I'm sure that we're going to get into talking about this a little bit more. But I would say if I were to kind of put labels on the different people that I am, the different stages of my life, yes, being a mom has been, is the one that I'm the most proud of. And I know that all moms say that, right? But it's true. It's true. If being a mom is the greatest thing for me, the greatest accomplishment, the biggest learning, constant learning. But also it really is what fills my heart and soul. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I don't know that all moms say that it's the greatest. No, and I'm being honest. I don't think it's all moms, but I think we think that most moms should feel that way. But I know that with you, like that's not even in your. I don't know. It is in your bio. It is in your bio. But still, even if it had not been in your bio, I still would have written like that you were a mom, and I listed that as your first title because it was just so obvious. It's obvious to me in how you carry yourself of like that, how important your children are to you.
Very important to me. I have a wonderful mother. And if I can only get to be half of what my mother is to me, that would be the greatest achievement of my life.
Aww.
So yes, I have mother to Nina Isabela Rojo Moreno and Emilio Fidel Rojo Moreno, 14 and 11. They're both going through really big transitions, and
they're just little monsters that you love right now. Yeah.
But they are. I became a single mom about 6.5 years ago, after a very difficult and rough marriage, and they gave me the biggest reason to survive that storm that was really rough. But at the same time, they have filled me with energy every day since they were born. Nina was preemie. She was born 5 weeks early. We were living in Turkey. She was born in Kuşadası, Turkey. And I was not prepared. First time mom away from everything I could call home in a very foreign land to me. Different language. Everything was very different. And Nina being born 5 weeks early was definitely a huge surprise, but the biggest blessing ever. And since I first held her in my arms, she's my angel. And that's my color. She really has been my angel. She has a very beautiful personality. She's pretty introverted, but very, very just confident in herself as well. And Emilio is the opposite of Nina. Emilio is all like, he needs people. He needs to be surrounded by people, full energy. He has a mild case of sensory processing disorder and some ADD. And so he's the one that keeps me on my toes all the time. Super sweet, just sensitive, affectionate boy that is my joy as well.
So sweet. I love the light that comes into parents' faces, and I'll say when they are close to their kids, and maybe it's because of my job, but I mean, I have seen like parents that are not all jazzed about their children, and so in the same way that you recognize, like, that your mom is a good mom, I remember kind of being taught by my family, for sure, my mom and my dad, of like this conception of what a good mom was, and so I've always felt like adept at being recognized, like, oh, that person is a good mom. And so I'm not saying that I know that definition because I'm a psychologist. I'm saying like a familial definition. And I know for me, it's like somebody who's like really like not preoccupied preoccupied by, but really concerned with their child, really concerned with their well-being, kind of involved in their life. And then you're bringing up the, like, just that light where you're just filled up, like, from your kids, so that smile that you can't deny, and you totally have it,
I'm in love with my children. Yeah, I mean, it's just we've as a family been through a lot, and at the same time, my children have been far away from their grandparents, and they only have a set of cousins here in Kansas City where we live. And so I in fact, I come from a small, very connected family. And so that's the culture, the family culture that I was raised in. And so to me, being super, super connected to my children, and feeling, talking, being vulnerable with each other too. There's a lot of times where I have to say, guys, I'm human too. Like, I make mistakes, I break, I apologize. Like, I'm at the same level in the sense that, I get frustrated too. And please just understand. And they're just great at it. They're awesome.
You do the things that I recommend, to parents, of being vulnerable, being honest, telling our kids where we're at, not faking it until we make it, just telling our kids, I'm struggling,
Yeah.
but I'm going to figure it out. So I appreciate that. Christy, can I tell you why I wanted you on the show? I didn't actually share this with you. But I think, and it's good. It's good.
Okay.
See? Wow. Hold on, wait. Did you really think it was bad?
No, but I got a little nervous.
Christy, it's good. Okay. So there's a couple of reasons. One, I think, so, like, the most interesting man in the world meme, I think it's a Los Equis commercial. And, like, to me, you're like the most interesting woman in the world. Like, because of all the places you've lived, I think your Spanish is perfect. Like, how there's people's versions of a language that you enjoy hearing. I enjoy hearing, like, the sonido, like, of how you're Spanish, and also, because it's Women's History Month, right, I wanted to pick women from, like, different places. You guys can hear I work in a lot of spaces, right? And to me, I was like, what? I haven't had Christy on the show. I've enjoyed my brief interactions with you. I want to highlight an NPU woman, and so I thought of you. You're welcome. Yes. And so that's why I brought you on the show, which also gives the audience context, right, for how we know one another.
Yes. Thank you. I feel very honored to be here. I have been a fan of your show and Marisol's for a while, and I really value the importance of having this moment to check in. And I'm grateful for the opportunity of being here tonight and checking in with you and talking about life and just the day-to-day, how I would be lying if I were to say, doing a great job, I'm super passionate about everything I do. It's a constant dialogue in my head. It's like, as the perfectionist, right? I was sharing, as the perfectionist that obviously is not perfect at all. As the creative person that I am, always wanting to polish and polish and polish and never thinking that, things are enough. That weighs me down a lot sometimes. And that really sometimes makes my weeks feel like, 1 week is like 3 weeks, and like, I can't get there. So I appreciate being able to check in on each other. And it's great, specifically with NPU, when we are checking in with our parents, right, and our families. And right now, during a pandemic that has impacted us so much, if I were to start sharing everything that has changed in my life and the life of my family in the last year, there have been just radical changes. Absolutely radical.
One or two, like the most significant ones.
I did a 180 career change in the middle of the pandemic, right after I turned 40. I left the corporate world and joined a nonprofit world. And that has been beautiful, But at the same time, I will be very frank. I've, constantly have to be checking in and saying, like, did I do the right thing? Did I do the right thing? And also because I have dependents, right? So I want to be able to do the right thing and be happy and feel fulfilled and successful and model that to my children. But at the same time, not only was it a 180, it was going from, one career to another, completely from one field to another. So I was in product development. I'm now in education.
Mm-hmm.
So that has been, at the same time, I will tell you that I didn't make that decision lightly. It was, a 6-week process and dialogue where, I was talking to the people that, love me most and get me most and saying, like, is this the time? Right. And a lot of those answers, many of them by my own, were like, really, you're going to do this in the middle of a pandemic? You've never lived through a pandemic. Things are like totally upside down. Your children are suffering. The three of us, Nina, Emilio, and I, have been having mental health situations that we've been having to deal with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Finding the right therapist, checking in with each other. So that is the major change for me, personally, individually.
Mm-hmm.
That I have gone through throughout COVID-19.
I resonate with you. I mean, I'm sure you've seen some of my posts, and because I know we share similar friends, I'm sure you know some level of, like, I did the same thing, right? In the middle of the pandemic, decided to leave a very cushy, about to get tenure, academic, community college job and gig to, like, go on my own, and okay, so I can say this now, that when I left, I only had about 50% of my paycheck secured, but I knew and I trusted that more was coming, and I knew and I trusted my hustle, that's probably the biggest thing. I was like, I can do this. And I really respect you, though, because although I have a daughter, and yes, of course, we're always take care of our kids. My daughter's very self-sufficient, right? She is presently living with her dad, so I knew if I had to eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, like, it could be okay. Yeah. So the added layer of you making the decision with children that are 11 and 14, like, the fear is huge. I can totally imagine the sleepless nights, restless nights that you had of, like, WTF, what am I doing? Like, can I do this? And is it smart? Yeah.
Yes. And the truth is that the sleepless nights have been ongoing because it was a leap of faith. A lot of changes, including, a pay cut and things like that do impact, the family in general. But I've always believed that if I expect change, I have to be part of that change. And getting involved with MPU and doing advocacy here in Kansas City, which I've been doing for many years, for friends that I know and families that attend my kids' school, and seeing the need where I could easily jump in and just through language, for example, being able to connect Spanish-speaking parents to the school, right? Like, that is just a gift that I thank my mother for. And my father for, because that gift of being able to bridge the language gap or to close, those barriers for a lot of families here, comes natural to me, but at the same time, I know was cultivated by my parents. So, seeing the need and through the pandemic where families were feeling most disconnected, if there were barriers and obstacles, for immigrant families and Spanish-speaking families before the pandemic, absolutely increased that gap. And so I said, I turned 40 last year. If I'm going to do a big shift and that 180 move, it better be now. Because for two reasons. Why? It's easier for me to learn and adapt right now than maybe it'll be in 10 years.
Sure.
And the other one is that I could continue to grow, and continue doing, the work that I was doing before. I own my own business. I'm a freelancer and have been for over 20 years, doing language translation and interpretation. And so that was also like, on the back burner, kind of like, well, if this doesn't work out, I'll just grow my own business. So
we always have to have our side hustle. No, I had it in the back of my mind of like, if this doesn't work, this is what I'll do, So I don't know if you know this. I don't know if I told you this. At one point I had a transcription and a translation company. So yes, that's something in common, right? So yeah.
I was gonna say, my parents and my mom did a lot of this work too. While my dad is a music evangelist, music minister, and so he traveled a lot. And the majority of the time we traveled as a family a lot growing up. But when I started middle school and school started getting a little bit harder, we were traveling less. But my mother always made sure that we had extracurricular activities, and not only to enrich our lives as children, and to have a broader perspective of life and of people and broader worldview, but also to equip us with tools, right? And so my mom is the one, Joyce. I would say my mom because that's how we say it in Spanish, right? Mi mamá. People make fun of me, and and my siblings and I are talking to my mom, and like we each have a mom, right? No, it's the same one. She was the one that trained me to be an interpreter and to do translation. She coached me through the process. She was my mentor and still is my mentor. As well as, on my dad's side, being a musician, he always ensured that music was also part of who we were and how we expressed our love and our talents and our interest for the arts. So with that said, as a mom, to me, it's very important that I provide additional tools for my children for their growth, but also so that they are better equipped. And when the time comes that as adults, they need to pivot, right? And find other ways of finding joy or success or, other career paths that they know what they're good at and that they're able to, or at least, have the courage and the interest and the curiosity to do something else with what they've learned during their childhood. So,
and I can hear how much you're just modeling what was given to you, or repeating what you were afforded, through your parents. Is that fair?
It is. Yes, it is fair. It is fair. And I am, raising bilingual children as well. That is takes a lot of discipline. It's not easy. But one of them likes it more than the other. Nina is fully bilingual. She's teaching herself French and Japanese. She's only 14, right? She's doing Duolingo. Emilio is more like me. I remember growing up hating English. And people will talk to me in English when we would, come visit our family here in the States, and I would answer in Spanish. So I would understand what they were saying in English, and I would say, no, hablen con mi hermano, él habla inglés, right? My brother is my interpreter, but really I knew. Emilio is like that. He knows Spanish. He absorbs everything. I talk to him in Spanish. For the time being, he just, responds in English, but I know that deep down he's like a sponge.
It's in there. I'll tell my bilingual story, so I'm the oldest in my family. And so my parents spoke Spanish to us first, right? Or it's our first language. And then when we entered school, so at about 5 years old, then we went 100% to English. And then our grandmothers kind of lived with us on and off, right? So although our parents spoke generally, I feel like in the earlier years, they spoke Spanish to one another.
Mm-hmm.
Then later they started speaking English to one another. We didn't have the expectation to respond in Spanish, but it was just kind of maintained. That Spanish, right, was maintained through our grandparents. And it's hard. It's hard to like have such a big gap. But I do a show in Spanish. I realize I'm like, oh, it's in there. Like it's in there because it was the first language. And I think if nothing else, the building blocks are in there. Like, yes. I know I can figure stuff out. So I'm saying that to you for his encouragement, of like, it's in there. He'll use it when he wants it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Let's kind of you and I, when we were backstage, we started talking about having a really good talk about perfectionism and our perfectionism period and our perfectionism as moms. And I think that that's such an important topic for us to be vulnerable about, so I'm like, how do I even open this up? Like, what are your struggles, Christy? Like, like, tell me how you beat up on yourself today, right? No, that's not really the question, but yeah, what does that look like for you, that struggle with perfectionism?
I also, well, it's rough, and I can answer about today, right? I'm always going. I always busy, always responding. I hardly ever do what I need to do, which is sit down, take a break, and say, hey, this does not need an immediate response. This can wait a little bit. My perfectionism always wants to be checking things off my list, right? And ensuring that as I'm doing that, I'm fully attentive and I'm making sure that the people that need me, as I think that they need me, right? Mm-hmm. They might not need me, but in my head they do, that they're getting the best they can out of me. And of course, I'm very imperfect, right? And so I'm constantly stressed. And in the past, there's been times where that stress has become clinical stress. Mm-hmm. I've had several instances where I have had to go to the hospital because something's hurting, and I come out with a diagnosis that says that you're just too stressed, right? And the first few times that happened to me, I was like, of course not. I'm just busy, right? I'm a busy person. I'm an overachiever. But it catches up with you physically and mentally and emotionally. And so to me, it's always finding ways to fill every single minute of my day without even realizing that I'm doing it, right? Mm-hmm. Giving myself permission to take a break or to say, nope, not going to do that. Nope, not going to take that call. Nope, not going to take that offer. I'm just going to chill and watch a movie with my kids. It's hard for me to make those decisions because I feel like I have to get everything off my plate, check everything off my list. And so that is a problem for me. It's something that I have had to work on a lot before, and do need to work on now and moving forward, because joining this world of advocacy, and the world of education and the world of fighting for our children's rights, it never stops, right? And so I have to learn how to cope with the field that I'm in now, and making sure that I have found this in MPU, and I keep saying it all the time, MPU has become that church, right? That community of like-minded community organizers, activists, parent leaders that are fighting, the same or different fights, but similar. And that are, we have that circle, we have that community where we can come and be vulnerable and say, I'm not doing well. And so that has been important to me. But I don't know that I don't know that strive to be a perfectionist will ever go away, but definitely need to find the tools and the people and the support system to help me navigate those moments, because panic attacks and anxiety attacks and depression and all sleepless nights, all of that is very real. And when you're doing this work, it's a constant. So you have to learn, and I'm learning from many of you guys, how to navigate these waters and how to, come up and catch a fresh, breath of air to say, okay, I need to recharge, because otherwise my body's going to give up on me and I can't afford that. That can't happen.
Well, I appreciate your bravery and like the vulnerability and the honesty with which you're sharing, because I know you're not alone, but it can feel that way. We can think that we're alone because I don't know, just I do know, but our our brains trick us, right? Because of the way that we experience society, we think it's just kind of our walk, our thoughts, and I often tell my clients, of like, we pick up on other people's feelings, we pick up on other people's expectations, but we're not taught that is a thing, Oh my gosh. Okay. So I'm trying to catch up with the comments. Yeah, sorry. Yes, it is also real. So can I push a little bit and ask a question? Yeah. And I shouldn't say push, dig, kind of get you to connect with people. What goes on in your brain when you're thinking about that list of things that, I want to knock those items off? If I don't knock off the items off the list, what's going to happen?
The truth?
Yes. And I'll be vulnerable back.
The truth is that I'm not really thinking of that ultimate goal. It's that I get stuck in the process. That's how I feel, right? It's getting stuck in the thought process of what do I need to do? What all do I need? I'm an information gatherer, for example. So in my work, I have to do presentations. I have to prepare a topic. I have to ensure that I have all the accurate information. When I'm doing advocacy and legislative work, for example, I have to make sure that I know, what I'm talking about, and the not just the content, but the consequences of moving forward with those initiatives. Right. And so I get always stuck in, do I know enough? And so I was sharing with you backstage that I struggle with feeling that I'm actually good at something. Right. I hear people telling me all the time, because I get the feedback and I get all the love from my, circle of friends and family. You're so good. You're so good. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. And it's a big challenge for me. I mean, I think of, for example, my brothers, and like, they're like, my brother Daniel is an expert in a lot of things, but I will tell you, he's a historian and an expert of lucha libre mexicana. The history, the origins. He's been a
masks.
He owns a huge this is just something very I just pulled that. He's an expert of many things. And I think to myself, what am I an expert at? Like what one thing do I master? What one area am I like really confident in? And I get trapped in that cycle of feeling that I'm mediocre. And that what I'm doing is like halfway there.
Not enough. That's what I keep
hearing. Not enough. But I don't think of what enough actually means. Like, what is that? How do I measure enough? Is really hard for me to find that answer. So I get trapped in this cycle of worry and anxiety. And like, what am I going to do? Maybe I should get out of bed at 2:00 in the morning and go find an art. And I do it. Like, I'm being very honest here. I'll do it. And then I'll come and do research and read all this information and try to find, everything I think I need. And then I'm like, well, that was a wasted hour of,
You could have slept.
Yes. Yeah, it's rough. It's rough. But I don't know. I don't know what the root of this is. I don't know how I became this person, because I don't really know if I've been like this since forever, since early years. But I have found myself in the last several years feeling like I just can't get as far as I want to. And that struggle is very real for me.
We only have 15 more minutes in the show, so I'm not going to make you dig to the origins of, that sense of not enough, but because I think a lot of people get it. And I don't know if I can relate to the not enough part. So I'm going to be vulnerable back. And I always say that, you guys, when somebody is vulnerable with you, the best thing you can do is be vulnerable back with them or to them, because it feels like, I don't want to cuss, but it feels like your butt's hanging out in the wind, when you're vulnerable. So that's like the nicest way I could say it. Like, I hope my mom's happy. Okay. So I think if I'm honest about like my challenges with vulnerability, with insecurity, it's two things. It's like, will somebody like me? And I really mean like that little girl, like pick me on the playground type thing, Will somebody like me, and or am I too much? Like, am I too much personality? Am I too demanding? Am I just too much for somebody? Which comes back to the liking. Oh, you can only tolerate me for so long, Yeah. That's mine, and I think that what that then feeds is this, I'm going to say it, but I'm analyzing myself. I don't feel it in the moment. It's almost like I'm going to keep doing stuff to maybe stay in good graces, to be indisposable, of like, you just need me, instead of you just like me and you just want me there,
Yeah.
That's mine. Yeah. And so, yeah, as hard as it is to say those things, like, it's good. Thank you. Actually, so this is your brother, yeah, Sergio?
Yes.
I saw him. Well, yes. I saw that he was on Marisol's show. So yeah, that's actually, that's for sure the colonizer mindset of prioritizing production. Absolutely. It tells us our worth is dependent on what we produce. Yep. And it's a real mind trap. And I would say, then there's a gendered aspect, right? Sometimes for men, it can be that production piece. For women, sometimes it can be the nurturance piece. And then I would say you and I are kind of screwed on both ends because we're like alpha women, right? So we got both. Yes.
Very true.
No,
go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, let me let you comment. There's a lot has been said. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's and Sergio and I and a lot of people, like, we've been having these conversations about like kind of analyzing, where does that come from? Let's go back in history. That is a journey I am just now kind of getting close to exploring, because the truth is that as I'm struggling with all of this, and at the same time doing awesome work, 4 families, 4 children, including my own. It is something that hurts. Like it affects me physically, right? And I know that I have to stop and take a deep look, because I know that I can't continue at this pace, right? And at the same time, there's collateral, right? Like my children are here. COVID times, they're here 24/7, right? They're seeing everything. They're hearing, they're sensing. They have been witness to my frustrations and to my moments of, just, breaking into tears and just being like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to get past this. So to me, it's very important to share and be in this space right now where I can be very vulnerable and say, yeah, I'm doing great work because I'm working with a whole team, like lots of teams of people advocating and working for the same cause, like, continuously. But it's important that we as, activists and advocates, we need to be constantly also taking time to check in on each other and on ourselves. And that's something I'm learning.
Absolutely, because like you said, and like you've experienced, and like you're saying, right, the burnout is real, right? And recognizing that so much of an activist's heart, a helper's heart, a healer's heart, anyone who's a protector comes out of wounding, out of our own wounding, out of like something difficult either happened to us or maybe somebody around us. And so we spend our whole life wanting to fix that. And that's not a bad thing. It is not a bad thing to be wounded and then to then have a heart for helping. But imagine what you could do if you healed that wound, how much more good you could do, right? Instead of like you or me, right, spinning ourselves silly, spinning ourselves silly with like wasting or not wasting, abusing of energy. I really thoughtfully using that word abuse, like being abusive to ourselves, because nobody needs to perform at that level. Somebody is enough or likable or whatever the thing is, if they could just heal that wound, right? So I know we have about 9 minutes, and so you want to talk about music, and we could talk about this stuff forever, but I want us to leave a little bit hopeful and filled up.
Yes.
Tell me something. What is the one time or the one thing or a few things that you do to fill yourself back up, where you do feel like you're enough, or where you get a break from, all these challenges?
I was sharing, and the reason why music is so important to me, and I want to bring it up, is because that music has always been a huge part of my life. My first musical experience, as far as like me entering the world of music, was when I was 4 years old. And in the last several years, I have not really been, in tune with that part of me. But throughout my childhood and through being trained in music and being coming from a family that where music has been the vehicle to bring about change in certain groups of people, and my dad doing social work through music, I have learned how to heal, how to heal in specific moments, right? How to calm myself and nurture myself through music. And so the thing that I do when I'm feeling most broken or sad or tired or hopeless or helpless is I sing to myself. And I'm not shy about it, so here, and I'll just start singing out loud, and I don't care if someone's listening, but that is how I cope with my deepest, darkest, most painful moments where, I could be meditating, I could be taking a nap. To me, is sitting at my piano downstairs, which is totally out of tune, but sitting there and just letting it all out through my voice. That's been very therapeutic, and I'm very grateful that I was able to experience that since a young age, and I can't wait to make space in my life to bring that piece of therapy through music for myself and for my children and for others too. So yeah, I know music is very important to a lot of people, arts, exercise to many. For me, music has always been very important, and specifically the chanting and the singing.
Can I actually, add to that? So, all right, I'm going to try to wrap my mind around how I want to share this. Music works for me when I'm afraid. And so I remember at one point where, let's see, I'm trying to be you're going to feel my insecurity with this. Basically, it was dealing with a situation that was very woo-woo, right? One of those things of where you're just getting creeped out, because of bad energies, right? And so I remember realizing that when I sang, it didn't matter if it was good or bad, right? But when I sang, that I was filling my body with, and my chest in particular, which is where you tend to feel anxiety. I was filling it with the good stuff, I was filling it with things that for me were spiritual. And I realized that whatever was around me, if I could just push out that vibration, that I was going to be okay. And whether or not I was going to be okay, that at least I felt good, you know? And so, I kind of want to offer you that as well of it has also turned into something that I have used. I don't feel anxious that often, but if I am, singing has helped, and I've also recommended it to clients, and I've heard other people recommend it when I feel anxious, that singing, because you're getting that energy out, right? Literally. Yes, you're releasing that energy. So there's a lot of wisdom in the fact that that is what you were called to. You have a lot of knowing, a lot of enseñanza. Your DNA knows, the things that are good for you.
Most definitely.
What are you going to do this weekend to chill, to relax? I know you guys just came off vacation, but we were talking about how the kids are happy on vacation. Mom is not so rested after vacation. What are you going to do to rest from your vacation this weekend? How are you going to take care of yourself?
I definitely will be taking a couple of naps. Naps are always on my list, and that's one of the things that I never check off my list. Um, uh, yes, so I'm going to do that. And good luck, because right, wherever I turn, I see work, right? Whether it's picking things up or, oh, I have 20 minutes. Maybe I should do this in 20 minutes, right? But I am going to create the time to rest my body, because yes, it's been a rough week. We've been traveling, but we've been on the go all the time and making sure that everybody's happy and that the kids are, not fighting all the time, and that Nina's ever hungry. So making sure she's
14.
Otherwise, yeah. So really, this weekend, the children are with their dad, so I will be able to just create some good space for me to just be in silence, maybe take a nap on the couch, maybe watch a show, something like that, a little bit, where I can just unplug for a second or two, hopefully.
So I'm not even going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge all your friends and family and the people that are watching that know you this weekend to like politely send her reminders about asking her if she took a nap, not in a pressure way, in a reminding way. Like send her memes. So in fact, I would say follow the nap ministry on social media. I get nothing for recommending them. I get nothing for any of the recommendations, but they do a good job. They do a good job. And it's so the nap ministry of reminding us of like why rest is important, yeah. See, look, okay. Jillian and Sergio, y'all got me, right? You're gonna text your friend, your sister, and be like, hey, get that good nap in. I love naps. Oh my gosh, I love them. So this time goes so quickly. Christy, thank you. Thank you. I feel like your friends are doing a good job of filling you up, but I want you to hear like from my heart, receive from my heart, how you are enough. You're like how perfect you are, exactly the way that you are, with all of your flaws, with all of your imperfections, with every mistake you've ever made. But it's a joy. I was going to say still, it's period. It is a joy to be your coworker, to get to know you, just to share space with you. So I hope you can like really take that in and believe that.
Thank you very much. And yes, I have made sure to build a very strong support system around me. And without people like Sergio and Jillian and other loved ones, I don't know that I would, be able to do the work I do and to stay on top of things. But I have learned that I need to ask for help when I need help, and that I need to ask for support, and that I need that strong circle of loved ones to keep holding me up and through everything. So yes. Thank you. Thank you to everybody, and thank you to MPU, and thank you to you. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend as well, where you get some rest as well.
You're welcome. Thank you, everyone. Again, think about your naps and what you're going to do to relax this weekend. And we'll see you next Friday, where actually you're going to have Marisol on the show so that she can talk about her book. And we'll also have her contributing authors. All right, everyone. Have a great weekend.